two videos. I made a 45-minute video or something 40-minute video, which I normally don't do. And it's about like that I won't say co-worker, but a worker that I met and we discussed, and he wanted me to speak on amongst his community, the Indian community. And I was a bit shocked to even hear that, because but then again, many migrants will go through the same phase and everything like that. And one of my co-workers says like there's culture clash, right? Remember, there's a culture clash, and whether I live through it as well, whether you rebel against your culture, whatever. And I had an opportunity to speak to my nephew and niece. I believe my niece was like, I think she's younger. My nephew was 17 years old and my niece is around 14. And definitely when you see a lot of Western born, obviously you see them as in an adult body with an invitation or baby brain, not have life skills and anything like that. And it's very, very difficult to build that. And I think nowadays, not only just Western civilization, but also in their own countries, they're having troubles to build this sort of adulthood in their brain. And I think it's very vital for a family to raise the child to get to reach or head to that direction, right? And if you head to that direction, it will be perfect, it will be great, whatever it is. That's what you want to hope. And I went all out on my niece and my nephew, because I was, like I said, I made that 45-minute video to look a bit deeper. And a lot of families really struggle, because it's probably one of the reasons why many families who divorce, because they start to realize generational wealth has passed to them, and now they're going to deliver this to the next generation, and knowing that they're not going near, because they've they're migrated to a Western world and they don't know how to do it, because maybe the structure of the upbringing here is like childcare, kindergarten, primary school, high school, university. So most of their childhood life, adolescent and early adulthood life is through an institution. Then you have educators, then you have government putting subsidies or incentive or whatever, you name it, to make it more appealing for parents to leave their child over there. And the problem with that sort of facility, you're only taught in a certain way. You only be amongst your peers, right? You're not going through different generations where a lot of Western Easterners, they live in 3 generations in one household. They share a lot of like stories or history or moments, example, who strengthen this family or whatever the X, Y, and Z it is, right? But when you have like that, and out of nowhere you're having this in the Western world, you don't have that, because mum and dad is working bloody hard to maintain this Australian lifestyle or Australian dream, or try to pay off the mortgage or the cost of living, and their job is usually not the high skill white collar. Usually it's like beginning levels and things like that. And I'm not going to get too details in that, but I'm just trying to say the fact that we're too busy working and we don't spend emphasize much time with the kids, and now kids are glued to the screen. And what I said to my niece and nephew, I said that just cause you got a pass mark or satisfactory or whatever A to C, D grade or F grade on your school report book, it doesn't mean anything in real life. In real life, it's more than that. We have real life situation issues and solve. And I give them an example. How would you do it if I ask you right now, if your parents kick you out tomorrow, what's the steps you got to do, or transition to move out? Or for example, what would you do if you wanted to go see my sister, which you love my sister, in this particular suburb in Melbourne when you're coming from Sydney? Would you dare to step out the house, catch a bus or train or taxi or Uber to go to an airport, and then, or catch an Uber or catch a train or bus to go to my sister's house? And I don't think many of the kids were willing to do or go for that route, even if you pay for them and everything like that. But my parents did that to me. They kicked me out, make me go to China by myself, or or come from China to Australia by myself. I'll go see my mum in Melbourne from Sydney, and I have to do everything by myself. And it's just that, you know, I don't think many family nowadays are late marriage and they're more protective of the kids. And that's why I say on their family, you know, the family avoid all these issues or trauma to the kids, to overprotect the kids. Now the kids have no idea. You know, they thought they achieved life. Life is easy, life is simple. And I told them that they're going to work like me, they're going to work like 90 hours a week just to maintain that lifestyle. And I told them that without me working 90 hours a week or whatever, how many hours a week, I wouldn't establish my family. So these are the stuff that I told them, and I told them like a real life situation what I'm going through. Like Saturday I got in a car crash, car's being towed, got work the next day, and I got food poisoning, and I got to do emotional trauma where I got 1 year anniversary with my separation, and now I have to deal with Mid-Autumn Festival, and everything's hitting one go, and I have to cancel everything, pay more money. What are the steps to do? And I don't think the kids generation nowadays able to function, or they have a meltdown, or ask mum and dad help to how to do this. And there's a lot of real life issues nowadays, and when you have like that, it brings out, like, you know, and I told them many times, I'm like, what you've learned in school is nowhere near in reality in life. And when I mentioned about military to the family, you know, I mentioned military and as well martial art. A lot of millionaires and billionaires, their background is very self-disciplined, whether they join the military or perhaps they join in, you know, pro-law, martial art or sporting, is because when you do sporting or martial art or military, you maintain yourself and find skill, you work as a team, you build your skills, to improve your skills, to bulletproof your skills, and you go through losses, you stand back up again, you go for competition after competition and fight to you know, whether you succeed to a certain level that you're satisfied, you know. So that's what I told them, you know. And when their father dropped me back home, my dad's house, they say, oh, you know, if I take my kids to military, they're gonna have psychological problem. And I said to him, well, you have a choice, right? It's either he has a psychological problem, toughen up, or X, Y, and Z, or bullied, right? Or you're gonna see your child eaten away by technology, by TikTok, or you never know, maybe your daughter one day will join into OF or whatever. You never know in the internet world, you know. And that's what I told them straight away. And obviously they're not going to listen because they're going to protect their kids. They invested their kids a lot of money or X, Y, and Z. But you know, I told my niece and nephew, like, your family will never affiliate people like me in your school life, where I'm a high school dropout, mental health, suicidal, and, you know, not going well in school, whatever. But I've learned all the struggles and the hard stuff, you know, during my younger years, whether my parents tried to do it to me or I tried to figure out. But it's too late. But at the age of 34, I'm still learning. I'm still grinding up, sitting up, you know, X, Y, and Z, you know. But for these kids, they have no idea because they still struggle to balance out which one to follow, Aussie culture or Chinese culture. But you know that most of the Western values is working really well with the Aussie culture. And I told them that not to forget about the Chinese culture, because of there's so many the Chinese philosophy and, you know, and the sayings and the stories is still relevant today. It may not be this particular way, but you know, you have to work on your own to make it more, you know, into their way. So that's what I explained to them in a very in the area. And you don't want your parents to raise kids and be on the Centrelink queue because you know, these kids haven't been learned how to talk, or how to, you know, not to be too opinionated in certain topics where you can get your job fired or whatever in the workplace, or, you know, how to, you know, build the management skills or whatever the skills. And I told them, like, you know, your grandpa is very good at stocks. You should learn stocks. You should learn different stream of income, not only just one income, because houses and the cost of living is just kind of keep on skyrocketing. And I told them, you know, so many of the stuff, and I wanted them to be better themselves. I wanted to motivate them to get somewhere. And obviously the parents will say, look, what you just said is all reality. But obviously they have like a bit of protectionness behind with their kids, because we're going to give them life skills and things like that. And for me to, to go through this, to have this kid to step out of it and to be like a microwave thinking and hustle and not to give up or not to give in on, or this and that is very, very difficult. And that's why I told them, I'm like, if one day, if I had a chance, I would take you to university and you should sit down there and see, calculate how many of the international students versus local students. Lots of local students who has dropped out of, whether TAFE or university, they just give up too easily. I don't care how smart they are, You could be book smart, you could be whatever, but are you interview smart? Are you resume smart? Can you fight amongst with 20 people on a group interview? It's just very, very difficult to go through head to toe with the whole thing like that. And yeah, that's what I said to them, and I hope that it really, the parents, that's what the parents wanted to stuck them in their mind, whatever. And I'm just there, it feels good from my side to say that, because I came from being a black sheep in the family, being like I mentioned, a high school dropout. Like, it's not going to go anywhere in life, and look where I am now. I'm doing really well, but not to be too overly confident, but I'm doing very well in comparison if I still kept the same as what I once before, the infantization in my brain. And when I have that sort of talk, and I hope it enlightened them, and I told them that, and I just said to them, in Australia it's different because we have a multicultural, you can't single out different groups or whatever, because your workplace, you're going to work with them whether you like it or not, whether our culture admire them or not, you got to work with them. So that's why I said to them, and I gave them that long speech, and obviously they were kind of shocked, but at the end of the day, would have stick to their grade, would have stuck on them, but it's nothing much I can do. But I feel like a very good cousin or uncle, where they refer me to. But that's what I said to them. I said it's not easy to be stepping out of from a parent's house. Not easy at all.